Hey guys, so it's Saturday the 13th of May, and if you're a UFC fan in the UK, what that means is it's time to stay up all night and watch some cage fighting. So UFC 211 tonight, it's one of the best cards of the year by the looks of things. So on behalf of UFCaccumulator.com, I'm going to give you a run through of what the fights are, what the fighters and ex-fighters are saying about what's likely to happen, what the MMA media is saying about what's likely to happen, and also give you some suggestions of some accumulators you might want to put on. So if you go to UFCaccumulator.com, you can see all this information in nicely tabulated form. So the main event is Stipe Miocic versus Junior Dos Santos for the heavyweight championship. Now this is a rematch of a fight they had in 2014, which is very close, went to JDS, but a lot of people thought that decision could easily have gone the other way. Now everyone that's made a prediction on this has got it for Miocic, and I agree with them. So we've got Michael Bisping says Miocic easily, Kenny Florian says that, Chael Sonnen says the same, Brendan Schaub says the same, MMA Mania says it, MMA Junkie, Bloody Elbow, Sherdog, ESPN, Tapology. Everyone thinks it's going for Miocic, and I think they're right. Now it could be quite a close fight. They're both obviously very dangerous heavyweights, but I think that is a tempting one to bet on. Even though everyone thinks it's going for Miocic, the odds are not that skewed in his favour, so you will get a decent return on that, and it's well worth putting that inside an accumulator. So first name on the team sheet for me is Miocic, so if you're putting an accumulator on, I would include that in it. The co-main event is another very clear one. It's Jacek versus Andrade for the women's strawweight title. Jacek, as we know, looks virtually unbeatable most of the time. She's had a couple of close fights, but she never really looks like she's going to get beat. Once again, everyone that's made a prediction, all the people I listed earlier, are going for Jacek. She is the favourite, but I think still well worth putting her in an accumulator. So if you were, and for full details on exactly how to do this and the links and the places to go, go to UFCaccumulator.com. But if you were to go for those two together, Miocic to win and Jacek to win, then a £10 bet pays out £27.35. So I think that is more likely to happen than not happen. So to get 2.7 times your money back, I think that's a very good deal. Now the third fight in the card is, I think, potentially a bit of a mismatch, but not everyone agrees with me on that. It's Demian Maia versus Jorge Masvidal. So Demian Maia, jiu-jitsu genius, quite possibly the greatest jiu-jitsu fighter ever to take part in the UFC, and feel free to shout about Hoist Gracie at me in the comments, but that's my opinion anyway. So Maia versus Masvidal, who basically street fighter, used to do those backyard fights with Kimbo Slice's organisation. He's very tough, he hits very hard, but if Maia can get him to the ground, that is potentially a mauling. Now most places say that Maia should get it. However, Chael Sonnen says he's got a feeling on Masvidal. He said he wouldn't bet a lot of money on it, but he's got a feeling Masvidal's going to do it. Sherdog also think Masvidal, but everyone else thinks Demian Maia's going to do it. I would say Maia's a reasonably safe bet, but there are things that could go wrong. Jiu-jitsu, as we know, without a gi, as the rounds go on and people get sweatier, they get slippier, and it gets harder and harder to submit someone. And Maia's pretty much a straight jiu-jitsu guy, so unlikely to knock Masvidal out later once the slipperiness kicks in. So Maia, decent bet, but I wouldn't put it as the first thing I would go for. Then there's an even more interesting fight that even more so could go either way. It's Frankie Edgar versus Yair Rodriguez. Yair obviously looked brilliant against BJ Penn. Looked virtually unstoppable in that. If he's really on, this is the start of his big ascent to stardom, then you would expect him to take on Frankie Edgar. But Frankie Edgar, of course, has a much better, longer record, more experienced. You would think it's always difficult to bet against Edgar. Now, this is where it gets interesting because there is no consensus on this. MMA Mania says Yair Rodriguez is going to do it. MMA Junkie says Edgar. Bloody Elbow says Edgar. Sherdog says Rodriguez. ESPN says Edgar. Tapology says Edgar. K-Flow says Rodriguez. Brendan Schaub says Edgar. And Bisping and Sonnen didn't get that far down the card, still making predictions. So this is probably one I would avoid for an accumulator. You've got enough risk in there already without going on a fight that we have just no idea what's going to happen in this one. So if you've got a strong feeling, feel free to go for something, but for me, I can't pick it. Right, so that's the main card out of the way. I'll run through a little bit faster the rest of these. Alvarez versus Poirier. MMA Mania says Alvarez, so does Bloody Elbow. In fact, ESPN and Tapology and Brendan Schaub all say Alvarez. I think I would lean Alvarez. I won't go into all the reasons, but he should, after that beating by McGregor last year, you'd think he's not going to be careless against Poirier, and he should have the experience and the skills to do it. Chaz Skelly versus Jason Knight. Everyone that's made a prediction, only 3 places did make a prediction: MMA Mania, Bloody Elbow and Tapology. They also say Skelly. I think that's a good bet. That's one I would put fairly high up my priority list of things to bet on. We've got Marco Polo Hayes versus James Vick. MMA Mania goes Hayes, Bloody Elbow goes Vick, and Tapology goes Vick. And I would lean Vick, but again, not by any means a slam dunk there. Aguilar Casey. The 3 that are still making predictions all the way down, which is MMA Mania, Bloody Elbow and Tapology, they've all gone Aguilar. Looks decent bet. That's sort of a middle ranking, not a certainty, but fairly, I would expect Aguilar to do it in that one. Sherman versus Coulter. That's 2-1 Sherman. MMA Mania has Sherman, Bloody Elbow has Sherman, Tapology has Coulter. Lean Sherman, but it's not a clear cut thing. Benitez Barzola. MMA Mania has Barzola. The other 2 are Benitez. Again, I would probably go with the majority, but that's not a high priority one at all. And the first fight opening the show, or jerking the curtain, as Charles Sonnen always says. Don't know if that's a phrase we use over here much. That's Christensen versus Antigulov. All 3 predict Antigulov. Antigulov certainly looks the better fighter from what limited amount we've seen of the 2 of them. The problem with this is that Antigulov is a 1-4 favourite, and putting a 1-4 favourite in an accumulator never really does you too many favours, as we saw previously with Bektic versus Elkins, which I think Bektic was a 5-1 on favourite on that, and dominated the fight and then lost by a brilliant fight and great stuff to Elkins, but clearly Bektic you would have expected to be the better fighter. If you put him in an accumulator, you're taking a little bit more risk than the odds are actually paying you off for. So although I think Antigulov is a good bet, I wouldn't have thought he's such a good bet that it's worth taking the risk for such a small reward. Right, so those are the fights. So the various approaches to betting, and I've got a full strategy of including like which bookie to go to and how to get the bonuses, and as a place that does accumulator insurance in case one of them loses. So there's ways of playing that. Go to ufcaccumulator.com to see what I've said about that there. But if you were to go for a double, bet on 2 things. I can't see beyond the main and co-main event here. So Miocic to win, Jacek to win. The reason for that is we've seen so much of all 4 fighters involved in these fights. We basically know what we're in for here. Obviously the Miocic fight could go either way, but everyone's saying Miocic. I think they're right. £10 bet on those 2 pays out £27.35. Now if you're going to do a 5-fold, make a little bit more of a return, I would put those 2 back on it. So Miocic and Jacek. Then I would also add Alvarez, I would add Skelly, and I would add Aguilar. So if you put those 5 together, a £10 bet there pays out £188. If you want an even bigger return, you go for the 8-fold. I would add to the previous 5 I just said, I would add Maya, who, like I said, could go either way, but I would favour him to win it quite early on by submission. I'd add Yotko, and I would add at this point Antigulov back in, because at this point you're already taking some risks, so it boosts your returns up a little bit, even though he's such a hot favourite. £10 on those 8 pays out £783.33. Then, if you want to go for the ultimate Grand Slam bet on every single fight, your returns are always enormous on this, and your risks are always huge as well. So this is a bit of a kind of lottery ticket approach. If you do want to do a Grand Slam, I would go for Miocic, Jacek, Maya, Edgar, Yotko, Alvarez, Skelly, Vic, Aguilar, Sherman, Benitez and Tigilov. So very good luck if you're going for that. £10 will pay out £5,124.80 and you can buy me a pint if that comes in. So your overall strategy, what I would do if you've got £10 to bet, and obviously you know, everything else you can scale this up or down if you want to put a pound on it or £100 on it, but if you put in a tenner on, we've got all the links for this on UFCaccumulator.com. If you go to William Hill, you can put a tenner on. If you're not a member already, they'll give you a bonus of £30 of free bets which you can use. You don't have to wait for the other bet to clear first. You can bet them all tonight, and you also get fivefold insurance, which means that if you've got a fivefold accumulator and 4 of them win, 1 of them loses, you'll get your money back. So if you do that, you can put your £10 on and you put that actual £10 on the fivefold that we mentioned, and then you get 3 £10 free bets. So you can put the 3 £10 free bets on the double, the eightfold and the Grand Slam. So if that happens, there's obviously the possibility that none of them wins, but if you get 4 of your 5, you get your money back. If your double wins, you get £27.35. If your fivefold wins, that also means your doubles won. So at that point, you make £215.35. If your eightfold comes in, that also means the double and the 5 came in. Your total returns then is, from a tenner, remember, £998.68. So 100 to 1 pretty much. If everything wins, so your Grand Slam wins, which means all your others ones win, and everything that come together, then that is 612 to 1. You get £6,123.48 from your tenner. So it's going to be a great fight tonight, great series of fights. Could be a classic. You can never tell with some of these. Sometimes the card looks great and all the fights go to really dreary decisions. Probably not going to happen tonight. There's enough exciting fighters. Something's bound to be mental on there. I'm really looking forward to the Rodriguez versus Edgar fight. That has possible classic in the making there. So does Miocic dos Santos as well. Any of those could be amazing. So enjoy the fights and hopefully enjoy your £6,000 or whatever you win. I'll be back tomorrow with a video explaining either why I got all of this wrong or how much money you've made. So good luck, guys. See you later.